Blog Talk Radio.
It's a new thing that's sweeping the land when you don't know which way to go. The answer is Jesus and Elevation Radio.
God bless you. This is Elevation Radio 1, and I'm your host, Pastor Steve, the Music Man Turner. Everybody, thank you for taking the journey with us. This is the program that spotlights positive people doing positive work while serving a positive God whose name is Jesus, and there ain't nobody else. Listen, this program is in memory of my wife, the late First Lady Leora Queen Turner, who's my co-host and my partner in life for 17 years. We honor her memory. We bless God. The Bible states that he will keep your mind in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on him. And today, with so many distractions and voices and negative choices, with limiting responsibilities, my goodness, it's just too much. Modern black women, says here, her mind may get overloaded. Never fear, Dr. Tyese Woodson is here, a Christian counselor and crime fighter against the overloaded mind, who has traveled extensively in the music world. And CHANDRA, I'm sorry. Did I get that right?
CHANDRA.
Okay. I need help. And traveled extensively in the music world and became a professional client. Listen, bring up your concerns, issues, and problems with pen and paper. You're going to go to school today. Black Queens, all Black Queens, get ready to call in to 1-914-205-5353. That's our studio line for group therapy. Today it'll be our group therapy line. And be healed. That's good. With Dr. Tyese Woodson Crusader for your peace of mind. And that's important. How many want peace of mind? Get ready to call in. Oh, I think she's here. Let me go right to the phone line. Okay. Is this Dr. Tyese Woodson?
Yes, I'm here.
Well, thank God. Okay. Her flight was delayed, and so I'm glad she could make it from the airport. All right, fantastic. And so where are you calling it from?
I'm calling from Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay. Say it with pride, ma'am. Say it with pride.
I'm calling from Baltimore, Maryland.
Yeah. Okay. And we're trying to line up all Black Queens because this program is dedicated to you. All the things we've talked about, the overloaded mind is what I call it. Trying to run the home, trying to get the kids together, sometimes trying to take care of the man and get him motivated, inspired, get him off the couch, make him work. Or go to the doctor. It's just too much. It's too much. Now, my first question, and then we also welcome Shanda. Is that right?
Shanda.
Okay, I think I got it now.
Shanda, yes.
Okay. To our line at Elevation Radio 1. If you have an opinion, you can call in at 1-914-205-5353. Men, you should listen to this program to understand the woman. Good God Almighty. Okay. Now, let's go right to our featured guest, Professor Tyese Woodson. Who is Dr. Tyese Woodson?
Well, I am a person who just loves life, very compassionate about mental health, helping others, helping them understand that we, as far as we know, only have one life to live, so we should live it abundantly in mind, body, and spirit. Mother, grandmother.
What?
A couple other things going on.
Oh, let's not forget TV star. You have your own show, don't you?
I have a few things. Well, thank you for that. I have a few things going on. Yes, I have started a podcast, television show called The Tyese Show news and ooze. Started that a couple months ago, and I've had on the podcast different authors and comedians, also a mental health counselor, a makeup artist, also had a fashion designer on, a couple of people who definitely, and I do choose my guests carefully, but definitely people who are making an impact and have turned their passions and their purpose into not only profit but into serving others, serving the community.
Okay. I heard you had an old fat pastor on too. Who's a musician and the host of Elevation Radio 1. Praise God. And I just want to let you know, while I was up
I'm
there.
not even sure if I should respond to that.
You're in good water. While I was up there on invitation at the Coyote Man Studios in Security Mall, shout out to Coyote Man, I was being heckled by a friend of yours who is on the line today. And I had to deal with that situation. And her name is Chanda. She heckled me. And what's going on, Chanda?
Well, I'm blessed and highly favored. I thank God for allowing me to still be in the land of the living in spite of everything that I've gone through. So I'm just here. I'm passionate about everything I do. So I'm just excited about the things and the doors that God is opening up for me at this time.
Okay. Well, she's been all cool now, but she heckled me. And never heckle a podcast host, okay, because he can get you back. Now, let's go into this interview a little deeper because Dr. Tyese Woodson is just acting smooth, but I got to expose her. Because I understand. That's why it's called the armed counselor. I understand that she was in law enforcement, that she was a badge-carrying, gun-carrying security officer and had tried out for the police force. Is that true?
Yes. I became a security officer and did that for 14 years.
Oh my God!
It became criminal justice overall became an interest for me. So I did end up going to school for it. I got my associate's and bachelor's degree in criminal justice.
Watch yourself.
And the criminal mind and just overall human behavior, why crime happens, and how it affects the community, the origins of how the origins of human behavior and how it relates to the ills of society. One main being crime became an interest for me, so I went to school for that and also for my master's in psychology.
Oh, so it's like that. Okay, so let me ask you a question. How come Mayor Brandon Baby Scott did not consult with you on his squeaky consortium team or whatever it's called to get your advice with all these credentials?
I'm not positive. Hopefully he tunes into the show and then he and I can converse.
Okay, well,
on how to help reduce crime and recidivism into prison and in Baltimore.
A lot of folks, it appears here, I know we're dealing with women today, but a lot of folks here have mental issues. And according to figures I've deduced, in the black community, there are 19 million that have mental issues. And it says basically that now if you legalize, oh my goodness, good God, I'm going to get in trouble. I was fooling with Darren Muhammad today, listening to him, and so I've gotten radical, more radical than normal. Substance abuse, voting for recreational use of marijuana, is not going to help the mind and the quality of mind for the population, but let alone black folk. And so I went down to the National Harbor as a part of the SAMHSA organization, and the Surgeon General produced a presentation which blew my mind. And it said that it showed a picture of the human mind, all the cells and brain lit up like a lamp. But when you use recreational, even mildly, the cells and the light faded to 1/3 because of THC, and they still haven't determined what THC does to the human mind. Had not enough research. And now, for the sake of greed and money, they want to actually legalize this nonsense. You ain't seen nothing yet, if you think people are crazy now. Between the vaccine and the legalized marijuana, you have to stay in your house. What do you think about that, Dr. Tyese Woodson?
Well, when it comes to even succumbing to an addiction such as drugs and alcohol, what we have to tackle is where it began, the origins. What is the foundation? Why someone would choose alcohol and or drugs as a coping mechanism, because that's really what it is. It's an escape from it's an escape from issues such as anxieties, depression, loss, different types of grief, PTSD from traumatic events and such. So, and sometimes it can be a little more simpler than that. It may be joining in just to fit in, with a group. But that can stem from a lack of self-love, also a lack of feeling loved, or even, feeling neglected by parents or immediate family members. So until society gets to the root of the issues, which is mental health, emotional health, then drugs and alcohol is going to continue to be a problem that's going to run rampant in this country and anywhere. And what it ends up boiling down to as well is that because people are succumbing to their addictions, then that leads to other behaviors, such as crime, that's causing a problem in society. And it's just a vicious circle. You have persons that then may even end up in prison because of it. And as we know, the government is really not doing much about it, because prison is too much of a moneymaker.
Careful. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Bingo. She has got the nail on the head. Make the money. That's what they say.
Oh, it's exactly. Why repair adults when you can make money on treating them? You can make money on holding them in a prison. Why would you? Why would you?
Oh, speaking of that, when you said that, it caused me to remember when I worked for the mayor's office as a job developer. I remember going to statewide use industries. I met this German guy we took a tour of Jensen, and he says he held his head up high and said, "We pay them the highest that we can pay them." And I said, "Well, how much do you pay them?" $1.35 an hour to make those cherry wood desks for Johns Hopkins executives, and the tags for the citizens of the state of Maryland. And I said, "That ain't no money, man." So when you imprison them, you imprison their entire family. And he didn't like that. I think I got a bad report. I got kicked out at some point. But I said, why don't you why don't you train them about job opportunities while they're in prison, so they come out and be, contributing to society and have money for their families because they have been suffering. There's no compassion whatsoever. Racism seems to me to be a mental issue for the perpetrator as well as the recipient. That's what I read also. What do you think about that?
And you said racism?
Racism, being racist, it seems to be a mental issue because your former president is mental. According to his niece, he's a narcissist, but he's a racial narcissist. And if they let this dude come back and run for president, it just sends a terrible. He should be in jail under the bricks.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Racism is an ill in society that will never we'll never see the light of day on that one because there's too many. It's a learned behavior. It's and it's a learned behavior through of course hatred and also a lack of knowledge. People are afraid of what they don't know about. If you're raised from childhood not to not to become knowledgeable and learn and be involved and socialize with another group, then of course the prejudices are going to sit in, and without even really knowing why. But it's because it's learned behavior, and so that's causing so many issues in society as well because you're bringing down the different groups of people, that indigenous peoples as well, people who are not able to or are hindered from flourishing because of racism, not being given a chance, not being given and the thing is, we don't even ask for, we don't ask for a handout, we don't ask for a leg up, we can thrive on our own, however,
resourceful.
When we do things, when you have problems like, arresting someone just because, remember the saying, driving while black. That it becomes a serious problem.
Okay.
But again,
matter of fact,
it's,
I was going to say, as a matter of fact, okay, go ahead. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, I was going to say that police brutality actually causes mental issues as well in the black community, and racism was another. Yeah. Okay. Let me say that you don't have. What's your typical type of client?
When I'm in mental health counseling, I don't want to say that there is a typical client. There's different challenges that that people deal with, and it can range anywhere from I do have clients that have substance abuse issues, but the foundation ranges from different types of depression and anxiety, a PTSD, maybe such as like molestation, but different mental and emotional challenges, and not really knowing how to deal with them.
Okay, I think we have a successful professional client that is atypical on the line today. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and so I won't mess it up again. Can you say your name? So it can be said correctly. And so Chanda, yeah, okay. Let me say, so what challenges have you had before you found Dr. Tyese Woodson?
Well, I was dealing with a lot of death in my family. And like I stated to Doc, I had gone through therapy like maybe 17, 18 years ago. And it had been a while, and I knew I needed therapy, spiritual therapy, because I just kept experiencing first my mom at 26, my brother, and my sister, one of my baby sisters, they died within 6 months apart. So anywhere from 2017 all the way up to now, almost 6 years, I have gone to a funeral. And the thing about it was that because my mental health, I didn't really discover it or find out anything about my mental until maybe almost 17, 18 years ago. And that's when I was diagnosed as bipolar. And for me, being a preacher's kid and coming from being a professional teacher, retired, being and growing up in the church, one of the biggest churches in South Jersey at the time, going to school, singing, and back in the 80s and 70s, you weren't therapy. You weren't allowed to mention therapy in the house because that was just something that we didn't do, But as years went on, and with all my struggles and situations, I knew I needed therapy. So that's when I always believe in a divine connection, spiritual connection. I prayed and I said, God, I need a therapist, and out the blue, I know he was sent from God. I'll say that. Another thing I heard you saying about police brutality and racism. From being raised up in the church and being sheltered all my life, I experienced certain things once I got older. You know what I'm saying? And when you're raised in church, they don't teach you that, okay, you in church, but the spirit doesn't strive with man always. You still have problems. You're still human. And being a preacher and being a professional singer, there was a lot of mental things going on. I can go and sing and still feel depressed, still feel some kind of way because I hadn't been dealing with my hurt, past trauma, and hurt people, and it has to first, and I understand it has to first start in our neighborhood. It has to first start with us Black African Americans. We have to stop stepping in on each other, and we have to seek professional help as far as the therapy, group support. It's really needed, especially in the world, in a different, even here in Baltimore. You know what I mean? I hadn't been in Baltimore in over 20 years, and me coming back is such a cry for help, mental help. I've never seen so many young women and young men hurting over time. And it's a generation where some of them, they don't have that father at home. They come from broken homes. So in their minds is that how can you help somebody who's broken when you're broken? You know what I'm saying? So this is a lot of things, and she has really taught me a lot within a short period of time how to deal with me, how to deal with Chandra, and what's going on with me. So it's a learning lesson. It really is.
Your testimony, your transparency will, let me just say this, it will help people because it said only 10% of the Black community goes for any kind of professional help. I must make a confession, and I blame Dr. Tyese Woodson for it. As a pastor, as a minister of music, as a salesman, as a former government employee, this can happen to anybody. The death of my mother messed me up totally, and because we were like thing 1 and thing 2. And so I had to go to grief counseling and at the March Freedom Home under my buddy Kelly Brooks. And basically I had to go to the 3-day course, and I took my wife, and so she could understand what I was going through. And so that was fantastic. I discovered also, because I had been in the military and had been on the police force for 5 years, and then they abused me as well. That I remember being in a disagreement with my wife, who was from New York, God rest her soul, and she challenged me, and I took a flashback to when I was on the street and in the northern and western districts. You can let anybody, especially in western, you can let anybody challenge you and be weak, else they run you out of town. So I forgot where I was. My fist balled up, and before I knew it, I punched a hole in the wall. I purposely missed her, but I punched a hole in the wall. And first, I didn't realize I had the kind of strength. And secondly, I backed up and I said, wait a minute. Something is wrong with me. And I got to go and get it corrected. So I went to counseling for a whole year, and I discovered, because I love my wife, I love her, God rest her soul, I remember that I discovered when I got the final report that I wasn't as perfect as I thought I was. A lot of preachers and pastors think they're perfect. They ain't perfect. You got issues. You're a servant. That's what you is, and you ought to remain a servant. A lot of politicians think they're perfect. You ain't perfect, Negro. You are a regular dude that need to commit to what you promised when you lied on the campaign trail and tell folks, do what you're supposed to do, serve the people. So that's kind of where it is. And I discovered I had ADHD, I had PTSD, I had all kinds of stuff. I'm like, what? Wait a minute. Perfect was raised in church. What are you saying to me? I couldn't handle it. But I had to get it straight. And so when I went to a conference for well-known pastors, I really was feeling unworthy. Why am I in here with all these big-time pastors? And this teacher from out of state started talking. He was a pastor's instructor. He says, after Sunday, I want you to rest on Monday and do nothing on Tuesday. I know it's hard for you preachers to do, because most of y'all, this is a white man telling to black preachers, most of y'all have ADHD, and they put their head down. So I just diagnosed with it. That's where I fit in. Good God Almighty, I feel God. Thank you. God uses imperfect creatures, so if anybody can understand this. You don't have to be perfect. No one's perfect, and so, but God can still get something out of you. He can still use you, no matter how. What somebody say? You ain't no good like you, and that's what I hate when I hear women do this. Young mothers, you're just no good like your father. What do you think you're going to put in to that child? I heard somebody doing that around my daughter. You're no good like your father. He was only about 6 years old. What does that say?
Oh yeah, you see that a lot.
How would you handle it to a young mother?
Well,
just mad at him.
One thing Shonda said is, hurt people hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
So that is an example of a hurt mother that's hurting her child.
Mm.
See, we tend to think of hurt people as in relationships or romantic involvement. But it happens in all types of relationships. It could even be a boss. It could even be a boss bullying an employee.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead and play that.
So when we don't deal with our own shortcomings, then we pass those, and that negative energy, we pass that on to others. And it just makes my skin crawl to be out in public and see a parent talking to a child that way. But that is because she's going through her own struggles, her own pain, and doesn't see a way out. It may not even see a problem. I mean, before people can speak out, they have to see that there's a problem. Like you mentioned. They have to admit it and look for help. And like Shonda, spoke of when we were younger, you just didn't hear about getting help.
Yeah.
It was still stigma. There was no needing help for there was no being depressed. There was no needing help for things. It was what happens in this house stays in this house. It was considered airing your dirty laundry and talking about the house business to say anything outside the house that made the house look bad.
I remember getting those kind of threats. Dr. Woodson. You better keep your mouth shut on anything. Don't say nothing about me, don't you? Talk about nothing. You get all this.
You know, if I can say something real quick, and I'll leave it alone after this. I'm, as a preacher, as a minister, as someone has grown up in a big church, 55% of the church people, let me say Christians, suffer from mental illness. You'll be surprised how many politicians and how many police officers and how many professional people from 2020 all the way to 23 that they're suffering from mental issues. Government wonders why our society is the way it is today. You understand? I'm learning that we have to do the work. I'm 54. Even a lot of the young women that I have taught and met down through the years, there are no more examples anymore. And what I'm trying to say is that everybody's scared now. Everybody want to hide their hand and throw the rock and hide their hand, but you can't do that. And that's why I'm glad I linked up with Doc. That's what I want to do. I want to be that one because I know what it is to be the black sheep. I know what it is maybe not to be liked and need. I have to tell you, I've gone to church services, whether it's been revival, whether it's been out of town, whether it's been on church retreat. I'm hurting, and I'm like, can just one bishop or one pastor, can they feel what I feel? Just got finished singing my best song, and I'm hurt because I hadn't dealt with the pain from when my mother died in my arms in Queens, New York. I had to go straight in and raise my baby sister. I dealt with a lot of family hurt, and I did not know how to release that. And 75% of our African-American women and young men that are millennials, they deal with a lot of hurt and trauma. And it starts in the household. Finding, and what I have found is that they want to know how was it you were on drugs for years, and how did you get off of that? Or you were in an abusive marriage. So what they're looking for now are examples. People that have gone through it, that are not ashamed. That's where I'm at, that's able to tell their stories and to help other people. Because now people are hurting, and they need to know, how did you get through that?
My goodness. All right. I see where this is going. God's doing some new thing. All right, Dr. Woodson.
Yeah, yes. I mean, I want to say that. Pardon me. When it comes to things these issues being more out in the open, I am grateful now that therapeutic services, counseling services can be taken care of financially through, through Medicaid and other types of, and really all types of insurance, because, years ago, for the main one thing was money. Yeah. You were not about to sit down. Most people were not able to sit down with a therapist at $150 an hour.
Absolutely.
To discuss their problems and to get help with their problems. We didn't have that, but now that it can be paid for through your insurance, now that's a reason to reach out. That's the reason to reach out now. Now with millennials, I like what you said, Chandra, about them looking for a guidance and looking for some persons that they can look to that have been through what they've been through. That way they can attach to that and relate and say, okay, this is how I can begin to pull myself up out of the situation.
Absolutely.
And they do. You would be surprised that if they see that we care, they open their mouths. Definitely.
They definitely do. Yes.
They have to see, but they have to know that people who are who are supposed to be role models or people who can can help and can give knowledge and wisdom and advice and help pull them out of this, they have to know that you care.
Mm-hmm.
If they see that you care, they open up. They open up. In this past summer, I taught a social emotional learning class. It was for a summer camp group of young people. The ages range from 13 to 21, and it was a youth works group. And this is in Baltimore City, in one of the worst parts of the city, and in West Baltimore, and it was roughly about 35 students.
Wow!
And once I got into the thick of it, I'll say, and I started letting them know that they could anonymously tell me, even in exchange of phone numbers, emails, any way that we needed to get in touch with each other, that they could anonymously say, "This is what I'm dealing with." Yeah. And then it's like the floodgates open. I started receiving what I did was I had them write down on an index card and fold up and put it into a box that I passed around. I had them anonymously write down what it is we needed to get down to and discuss, because I didn't want to come in there with a whole lot of surface content and not reach them. So they did just that. I took the box and it had all of these, folded index cards in it. I got home, I read that. I read those index cards one by one. It was, like I said, 30-something of them. It's 30-something students, and I mean, it brought me to tears. It's really, we're talking about kids that came out and said, "How do I deal with the loss of my grandmother? Wow. I'm angry. I'm frustrated. Yeah. So there are days when I don't want to get out of bed. I don't know how to handle my anger. I don't know how to. I'm being bullied in school. I was molested. My parents don't even know. Even it went as far as I have suicidal thoughts.
Wow.
So the doors are now open, and what I employ people to do is, no matter what your age is to walk through it. Yeah. There is help available, and that's the only way we are going to move towards healing society in God's manner. Yeah. Is to get right down to the dirty, the nitty-gritty that we didn't get to talk about when we were kids. Absolutely. You better not have said that Uncle such and such touched you inappropriately. You better not come home and say that somebody is bothering you and bullying you in school, because your parents were really probably just going to tell you to go whip their butt. Exactly. But it doesn't help enough in the mental aspect of it in the long run. Exactly.
Okay. All right. Well, we are going through some breakthrough revelations here. And if you have an opinion, you can call it 1-914-205-5353. If you have a situation, if you have something from the past that you would like to get off your chest, get out of your spirit, call it 1-914-205-5353, while Dr. Tyese Woodson is on the line. My goodness, and free yourself, liberate yourself, and that's important. Wow. I was going to say that I think this kind of counseling should be mandatory to be taken as a course by most pastors in the city, so they can not only help the congregants and the new harvest that will be coming in, that they can also help themselves, because many of them feel unappreciated and unloved, and that's why most suicides of pastors occur on Sunday morning. Mm-hmm. Most abuse of their wives occur on Sunday morning. You should have your mind set to preach the gospel. Good God Almighty. We're helping somebody today. Talking about issues that most folks don't want to talk about. Let me see here. I would say that when I lost my mother, God knows when I'm dealing with my loss of my wife here, but I did not. I was playing at a church. I was in charge of the choirs and praise and worship, and then I would have to take a break during ties before offering, and run into the bathroom and lock the door, and lay on the floor and bawl out, roll around, and cry because I was hurting, and then get up and throw water on my face and run back out into the sanctuary and pretend like everything was okay. There's a lot of pretenders in church, a lot of pretenders, and most common theme is pain. Matter of fact, I was sitting right here in this chair when God asked me some years ago, 2013. He talked to me like I'm talking to you now. So you're going to start the church? And I'm like, no, I don't want to start no church. I do not, God, want to start no church. He says, so he's gangster. He says, so is this how you're going to do me? After all I'm done for you? I'm like, oh, Lord. Okay, what kind of people do you want me to go after if this is what you want me to do? And he said, deranged, despondent, depressed, perverted, and I didn't like the list. So I said, my God, nobody wants them. Because they say they're all in pain. He asked me a question, or made a statement that just shot me down. I've been running ever since. He said, who else knows pain better than you? And it took all the fight out of me. And so the church was basically based on, although we have no members now, because my last member died, transitioned into heaven, to restore the brokenhearted and basically to deal with those who have been hurt by church hurt. And that's who I tend to attract to me. And when I go out in the street and talk to thugs and gangsters, because that's who appreciates me better than the church world, I can always identify with them. Because I have a little gangster. I got a little gangster in myself, and I've been hurt, and they've been hurt. So we get along fine. What do you think about that, Doctor Woodson? Yeah.
You know, they're looking for love.
Indeed.
You know,
everybody
needs love.
Even people who have been stood up at the altar twice, like myself, before God blessed me with my wife. I was humiliated and afraid to move forward. I tried to sidestep my wife, but she was my blessing. It almost cost me. But I got 17 wonderful years with her, and God rest her soul. She made it into heaven. That was my job as a pastor, so I felt good about it. I don't feel good about losing her, but it's and a lot of times that's just selfish. You know, if you go back to heaven, and we talk about this all the time. I'm going to see my Savior, blah blah blah. But when it happens, you get mad. You get angry. Why'd you take her? Why'd you take him? Yeah, well, they weren't yours to begin with. They were just on loan to you. Oh, my goodness. Yes, indeed. So how can folk call you, Dr. Tyese Woodson, with all these issues and problems? How can they call you and get some relief?
A couple ways to reach me. The one is to go on to the site for the podcast and hit contact, and that is at www.coyoteman, coyote like the animal, coyotemanonline.com/Tyese show. My first name is Tyese is spelled Tyese. There's a contact button there that will get you to email as well. And then phone number 443-759-1670.
I might have to add a disclaimer. She may be intellectual, have a nice voice and all that good stuff and charisma, but she's also married. So be careful. Make it professional only. You won't get hurt. Listen, I think somebody, she's trying to duck me out. Shonda, as a professional singer, has traveled with some big gospel artists. if she want to name some, she can. But she's going to be. She promised me, and I'm going to hold you to it, that you would sing me a song. Because Dr. Woodson's clients are talented and professional. So which one you want to do first? Drop the names of who you have sung with? Yeah, let's do that. And then,
I'm going to go ahead and give you a little piece of something so I can get it out the way.
Oh, okay.
But I've sang on programs with well-known choirs from the 80s and 90s. And we sang, I sang for years professionally, and also being a praise and worship leader in my church at the time for years, traveling with my mom. So I've done a bit, you know.
Oh, so, did you sing with Hezzy Hez?
We sang on some of the same programs. My choir, their choir, all well-known, you know, different choirs that we sang on different programs. Yeah.
We'll gather around the computer and the phone, and let's just you'll get your mind blown by Chandra.
No. Okay. Let me know when you're ready. Magnify the Lord with me, who the Son He has redeemed.
Mm-hmm.
Clap your hands, rejoice and sing. You are Lord of everything. I will bless the Lord. Bless the Lord at all times. For the Lord our God is great. Something like that.
Yeah, all right.
Amen.
Oh, okay.
All right.
It's something about a singer.
Not too much.
It's something. You guys give us an hors d'oeuvre. It's something about a singer that makes other singers and like preachers want you to say, "I will bless the Lord, bless the Lord all time." Yeah. Okay, that's a little. Stop it. Let's go down to control. Okay. And I heard, wait a minute, hold a second. I'm taking it, I'm embellishing this, but I heard that we may have a singing counselor on the line too, Dr. Tyese Woodson. Go ahead, break it out.
You're right. Oh, no, keep that one. Talented. Talented I am, but definitely not in that area.
Oh, okay. Call in at 1914-205-5353 if you want to hear Dr. Tyese Woodson break a song off. God bless you. Okay. And so,
oh,
put you out there.
Magnify the Lord.
Oh, okay.
For He is worthy to be praised. Okay.
Yeah. Okay now. Let's get it going.
Magnify the
Lord. All right, there you go.
He's worthy to be praised. Hosanna. Blessed be the rock.
Blessed be the rock.
Blessed be the rock.
Mm-hmm.
Hosanna. Blessed be the rock of my salvation.
And this is where the preacher would come in. Now we bless the Lord at all times, and His praises shall continually fill my mouth. Running around. Just have a church. Music have charms to soothe the savage breast, and that's important. I discovered, Dr. Woodson, I discovered that one of my relationships, the woman was traumatized by her husband, who abused her emotionally, and she was insanely, let me just say the word again, insanely jealous. He was also into witchcraft, even though he was a pastor. Woo!
Wow.
And he went down to South Kakalaki. I'm going to say something here that may get me in trouble with some pastors here in the city. But he went down to South Carolina, what is he going in there for? He went down into the swamps. He went down into the swamps so that he could become prosperous at the hands of a noted witch doctor named Dr. Buzzard. Oh, my goodness. And who, matter of fact, another pastor said her husband used to drive pastors and ministers down there so that he could pray for them and give them his blessings so they could become highly successful. Good God, you don't know what's going on. And so she was traumatized by sitting in the car watching snakes slither across the ground where her car was parked. And so she would get insanely jealous because she was demonized. And so the only thing that would give me peace when she was about to go off, and I had to deal with this, because she would lock herself in the bathroom and wouldn't come out for days. And her kids told me, just going home, Mr. Steve, because she do us the same way, and she ain't going to come out. So you're a good man. And here's why you catch all types of difficulty, Mr. Steve, because you look like her ex-husband. You sure like him. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I didn't know this. I was already invested. This is the one that stood me up at the altar twice. So, wow. So I'm just saying that God, the only thing I could do was read the scriptures to her when she was about to go off, and it would calm her spirit down, or sing her a song, and she would identify with that. And so I had to carry the Bible, had to make sure it was close at hand. So whenever she was about to go off and get angry like a demon, is to read the scripture. My goodness! So God blessed me with the wife I just lost. But the pastor told me, and I was in another marriage that where my ex-wife was sleeping with my brother-in-law, and I caught them. Good God Almighty! And so this is being transparent. So my point is that I had just come from Bible college. And I went there, God is really good, to be a minister of music. And they said, we decided to keep our minister of music. It was the great Bishop Eddie Montgomery, Ph.D., from the University of Family Bible. He started to write me up to put me in class, and I didn't want to go to class. And so he looked up in the sky, and he looked down at that desk, and he said, you, Minister Turner, you are a unique gift to the body of Christ. And I didn't feel like I was a unique gift because I was going through divorce. My self-worth was low. I was depressed because I wanted it to work, but it wouldn't work. And so you try to fight to make it work, and it don't work. You can't lead a horse to water. You can't make him drink. And so finally, at some point, he looked up in the sky again, he looked back down, and he said, because of your uniqueness to the body of Christ, God just can't give you any woman. He said, God is building you a wife. And then I thought about God controlling 640 billion people, the plankton, the life under the sea, the air, the birds, and mankind, and all that. It became overwhelming, and I fell out on the table, crying my eyes up, because I'm saying, I'm unworthy. How can he do that for me? It's like he died for you. Oh, my goodness. It's like he's giving you counselors, so that among a multitude of counselors, there's safety. But if you never go to a counselor, you will never be safe. So today, we brought Dr. Tyese Woodson to the table, and you won't call, but you better write down her number. Give it again.
Sure. 443-759-1670.
That's fantastic. And so, we've got a success story right here with recording artist CHANDRA. How long have you been with Dr. Woodson?
I want to say it's been about 2 weeks now.
Okay.
Actually,
look at the improvement. 2 weeks.
It's been about 2 weeks going on 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was definitely.
And so, yeah, that's right. Because I actually met them together at the studios of Coyote Man. And the great Sonji mastermind Lucy, who controls all of the business and the engineering. Shout out to Sonji, to Lucy. It's fantastic. And while going up on a TV set they have there, like I said, I was being harassed by CHANDRA, and but I got it back. All right. So it doesn't matter if you're from the streets. It doesn't matter if you were a robber, a killer, a drug dealer. It doesn't matter. None of that. Extortionists, most criminals are politicians. It doesn't matter. All these things. God can use you. Doesn't matter if you're in prison right now. God, turn it up. God can use you. God can get the glory out of your life. Because it doesn't matter how you start. It matters between the dashes how you end. And that's important. But let me just try it this way so y'all can figure it out. If God can use me, because many people say, well, he's a what? A preacher. He's going to be a pastor. Are you stupid? Are you kidding me? Not this. He's got temper issues because I didn't know I had PTSD. He's violent. When I was a police officer, they say he's violent. Well, I was. But God bless you. But he's a womanizer. All that stuff, and God can use him. Oh, my Lord. And so, yes. Let me say it again. Yes. Say it countrified. Yes. God can use even me. So then God can use you. It's not too late. Right, Shannon?
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's right.
I could have been dead. I could have been in jail a long time ago, but probably should have been. But thank God oh my goodness, since we're talking about this, I was going to, a girlfriend hurt me and told her to leave that dude alone, or told him to leave her alone. And went down to his place of business, tried to tell him, if you want her, you can have her, because there's so many other women. You can have her, and I'll just move on. Oh, no, she likes you. Are you sure, sir? Are you sure? Because the next time I see you, we ain't gonna be talking. And so I found it. I was on Frederick Avenue, and I saw him, and I pulled over, and I turned my back to him. He was talking to her on the phone. I was listening to him like I was on the phone. Then I knew where he was going, so I followed him, and I came up, and I had my 38 on me, and I tapped on his window when I saw her, because I had just taken her out to a movie. She looked like crap. But for him, she was dressed up, and it irritated me. And so he was coming out, and I came to his window, and I tapped on it. I said, I thought we had a conversation. And she said, well, you ain't got to tell him nothing, and ran, and they got in the car and pulled off. So since I was a hunter, I pulled off after. And I got to them on Frederick Avenue. And in my mind, I was saying I would not be disrespected like this. I had a 38 on my lap with the intentions of using it to take both of them down, until I heard the voice of God saying, she's not worth it. And I let them go ahead, or else I'd have been in jail. So God is a deliverer.
Yes,
we'll be having this program now. and I succumb to the lust of anger, because that's a lust too. Not just sex, but anger.
Yeah, anger.
And I don't know Dr. Woodson. I don't know Dr. Woodson then, but I needed to go somewhere even then. God is great.
Wow.
Okay. So now I can't take this back now because it's out there, and I blame Dr. Woodson for counseling session here and whatnot, and so it was so powerful, it got me confessing stuff. Good God. And if you want to put a face to the voice, look on the latest Tyese Woodson show, News and Ooze, and you'll see me. You'll see me there at the studios, and I was learning something even while there, because I always learn something from professors and doctors who help our people, and we need help. So, let's get to commercial, but it's okay. This is more important. So, Doc, thank you, Shanda. When's the next CD coming out?
Well,
when's your next CD coming out?
We have something in the making, so perfect.
Oh.
That's the next step. We're going to be working on something, so God be willing.
Okay, well, I better get my free CD, or else we're going to have some problems. Yes, indeed. So I asked you a question, Dr. Woodson, but you never answered it. You laughed at me. And I'm going to ask you again openly. Can you work with ministers of music who have repressed anger because they have been denied pay raises, they have been disrespected, played with, and lied on, and been yelled at, and just not treated as ministerial equals? Do you have anything for us?
Yes, I do.
Are your rates affordable?
Do. Yes, they are.
Okay. So can I give you food stamps?
I accept most insurances.
Okay. Can I give you some food stamps or something?
Say that again.
No. Can I give you some food stamps?
Say that again. Oh no. Wow. I'll need an EBT card.
What about rolls of pennies?
Oh, definitely not that. I'll take the EBT card before I take that.
Now, is this an exclusive? Did you just say that all musicians or clients can roll an EBT by you and that'll be okay?
No. I did not say that.
But I had you there for a second. All right, well, we pushed the envelope here. So now please go back and tell Coyote Man that you had a great time here, hopefully, tell the truth, and that you learned a few things and you were treated with respect, unlike how he treats me, but treating with respect and admiration. And so didn't ask him, so why do you give Pastor Turner such a hard time? He wanted to know that on air.
All right, I will.
Okay, cool. Because I want to make sure I send him a copy of this as well. And you may have to explain it to him because he's a little slow. But or give it to Sonji. Let her teach him. And this is what we do, Coyote. This is what he's saying, okay? Okay. All right. Well, thank you. This has been so powerful that my computer screen has gone completely black, opaque. So I have to wait till it comes back. When you deal with helping people, especially those who are have mental issues and emotional issues, which is really dealing with trying to overcome demonism, Satan does not like it. And so he messes with his God of the second air. He messes with all transmissions and signals and things of that nature, well, whether it be the cell phone or the computer. But he did not win today. God is in charge. Yeah, he got his glory. Because y'all two mighty warriors are helping people, and when they get this in the privacy of their own homes, they will do something. So you'll get some calls. I'm sure you will. All right. Wow. All right. Well, I can't go out on my exit music, so I have to just say. Matter of fact, I can't even cut the episode off. Oh, that mercy. He must be really mad. But okay, it's okay. All right. Thank you once again for classing up Elevation Radio 1.
Thank you.
Thanks for telling the truth, being transparent, getting out what she really wanted to get out, Chandra. And Dr. Tyese Woodson giving the professional, eloquent terminology and expressiveness. I heard the kindness, but sternness in her voice. She's a counselor who's kind, but she's still got that security, anti-criminal mindset. I heard it. Okay. All right. Well, thank you again for being a part of Elevation Radio 1. God bless you.
Yes.
Thank you. God bless. Thank you for having me.
God bless.
God bless you. Yes.
God bless.